In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about data points, dynamic loft of a club, and dynamic shaft angle. Both are extremely important to improving your golf. What's going on, folks? Atlanta Golf and Fitness. So today I want to talk about, I'm going to start talking about some foresight, quad, TrackMan, some data points, full swing, that make a big difference. And I'm finding out there's a lot of misunderstanding out there, right? So today I'm going to talk about dynamic loft. Dynamic loft. All right, so dynamic loft is what we would call your the loft at impact. Dynamic. Just like dynamic shaft angle. The shaft angle at impact versus static shaft angle, address, static loft. So say you had a club that has 44 degrees of static loft. That's with the club not doing nothing. At impact, that number should go down. And depending on the player, how the player covers, how much shaft lean they get, that number can go all the way down to 22, 24, 25, 26, right? But on a good ball striker, the dynamic loft is always getting smaller than the static loft. It is so important to know that. Look at the design of the golf club. Already, the butt end of the club is ahead of the face of the club, the leading edge of the club. So right there, I am at my static loft. And then just getting to impact, now look where I'm at. The static loft is in a dynamic position. It went from a 44 down to probably a 31, 30. Static shaft angle, dynamic shaft angle. I have moved that dynamic shaft into motion forward 3 to 5 inches. It is so important, folks. One of the best clubs you can have. Best training clubs in the world is the Tour Striker, right? I have the Tour Striker Pro. It has a leading beveled edge, small face, but the only way to hit this club is to get the hands in the right position. I even have a challenge. Get yourself a Tour Striker. Hit 15 to 25 balls every day for 30 days. You don't have to do nothing else. That would be your practice. I guarantee you become a better ball striker. Because now you're going to start understanding dynamic loft. Nice ball. Fix that little divot. Again, start understanding the difference between dynamic loft, static loft, dynamic shaft angle, static shaft angle. There's a huge difference, folks. Huge difference. Somebody on that tee box back there. So I'm moving a little bit fast to get out their way. I was at 1/6. That ain't right. I'm on the wrong hole. Oh, I was gonna say that thing counting up. Nice little ball right there, folks. We'll go over here and look at this ball. It was an 8-iron. I picked it up about 155, 156. That's the distance I played it for. It's a little bit damp out here. I'm right there next to the pin. I'm looking for my pitch mark. Here we go, right here. Ball pitch right here. and rolled out to here. Nice ball, right? Boom. Hey folks, let me give you another tip. Bonus tip. So we had 2 or 3 days of rain. Let me fix this ball mark. Right? Actually, we had 4 days of rain, heavy rain. All the major tournaments were canceled. And the guys were in the parking lot that said, hey, pro, give us a tip. And I said, no, I ain't giving no tips today. I have been on lesson T all day long. And they said, come on, pro, give us a tip. And so I put the card up and I was walking back in. And they said, did you leave any birdies for us? And I said, there's a lot of birdies out there. I said, it's tough out there today. I said, it's soaking wet. I said, so what do you do when it's soaking wet? And they said, you tell us, pro. And I said, well, this is what you have to do. You have to put the ball back in your stance and you can't try to kill the ball. I said, because the ground is going to deteriorate underneath you. I said, so you have to make sure contact is your most important thing, right? And when I walked away, they said, see, pro, you had to give us a tip. You couldn't get away without giving us a tip. Well, you know what? Part of my job is giving tips. And these guys are very, very faithful guys. They give golf clubs, they give balls, they do all kind of things for my juniors. But that is a tip that a lot of people are not going to give. When the conditions get bad, bring that ball back in your stands and don't try to kill the ball. Just try to meet the ball because the ground is going to be deteriorating underneath you. It really is. You're not going to get that clean, pretty strike that you're used to getting. I hope you enjoy this. Take care. Peace.